Welcome back to Factual America, where reason, rights, and reality take center stage. Today we're diving deep into one of the most debated, yet misunderstood issues of our time. Why the Second Amendment is more vital than ever. If you've ever asked yourself why Americans are so fiercely protective of this constitutional right, or wondered whether it still matters in today's world, this is the video you need to watch. Stick around, because as we unpack history, modern threats, and what's at stake, you might just see the Second Amendment in an entirely new light. Let's start with a little story. Imagine waking up to a world where the government decides what you can say, think, or own, with no check against its power. Sounds far-fetched, right? Yet, history is full of examples where governments unchecked by the people have become dangerous to the very citizens they're supposed to serve. The Founding Fathers saw this play out in their own lifetimes, and the memory of that tyranny is exactly what inspired the drafting of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, enshrined in 1791, says, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." On the surface, it's a simple statement, but beneath, it's a warning, a safeguard, and an affirmation of trust in the American citizen. Now, here's a twist. Many people today argue that the Second Amendment is outdated, an 18th century solution for an 18th century problem. But let's fast forward. Remember the images from Venezuela in 2019 as citizens, disarmed by years of creeping authoritarianism, faced tanks and tear gas with only their voices. Or even present-day scenes from Hong Kong, where protesters fight for basic liberties with nothing more than umbrellas and slogans. The threat of tyranny, oppression, or social breakdown isn't just a relic of the past. It's happening in real time, across the globe. Contrary to what some believe, the Second Amendment wasn't just about providing for hunting or sport. It was inspired by a deep understanding that government, by its nature, can become a threat to liberty. Revolutionary America had learned, the hard way, that when the government possesses all of the power, and the people have none, freedom becomes a privilege, not a right. The founders' faith in the people to hold government accountable stands as a radical idea. They recognized an armed citizenry as the last line of defense, not just against foreign invasion, but against the slow creep of overreaching bureaucracy or sudden, violent usurpation. Let's address another twist: the narrative that America is too dangerous, too divided, for private firearms. Yet studies consistently show that the vast majority of gun owners are responsible, law-abiding citizens. In fact, according to the Centers for Disease Control, defensive gun use, which is often underreported in the media, may occur hundreds of thousands to even millions of times every year. Think about this. Burglars routinely admit they avoid breaking into homes when they suspect the occupants may be armed. It's not about inviting violence into your home. It's about deterring it. Crime drops when criminals know the playing field is level and Americans are empowered to defend themselves. Let's get to the core of an uncomfortable reality. The government's ability to protect everyone at all times is a fantasy. Even in the best circumstances, police cannot be everywhere at once. During emergencies, be it natural disaster, civil unrest, or catastrophic failure, every second counts. Armed, law-abiding citizens are their own first responders when help is minutes away, but danger is at their doorstep. Here's a scenario you might not expect. In 1992, during the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles, Korean-American store owners, abandoned by law enforcement, armed themselves and protected their livelihoods. Despite being heavily outnumbered, their self-defense kept looters at bay. This isn't just a dramatic story. It's a testament to why the Second Amendment is still relevant, especially where social order can collapse in an instant. What about the claim that strong gun regulations are the answer? Let's look at Chicago and Baltimore. Both cities have some of the strictest gun control laws in the country, yet suffer from skyrocketing rates of gun violence. Why? Criminals, by their very nature, don't follow the law. Rendering law-abiding citizens defenseless only emboldens those with criminal intent. Now, consider a different twist. The Second Amendment is not just about resisting tyranny or deterring crime. It's a bulwark against chaos in times of national disaster or breakdown. Remember Hurricane Katrina? When law enforcement collapsed, neighborhoods banded together. Gun owners weren't vigilantes. They were citizens protecting family, neighbors, and community stability. There's something fundamentally American about the concept of self-reliance. Here, the right to defend ourselves and our loved ones flows not from government benevolence, but from a natural, inalienable right, recognized, not granted by the Constitution. No matter how much society advances, this principle doesn't become obsolete. We also need to talk about the cultural importance of the Second Amendment. For millions, hunting and shooting sports are part of America's heritage, teaching responsibility, discipline, and ethical use of firearms. It's community, tradition, and respect for the tools themselves. The demonization of all gun ownership erases hundreds of years of proud, safe, and lawful tradition. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Don't other countries have strict gun control and low crime rates? That's true, but here's the twist. America is unique. Our diverse population, history of frontier independence, and constitutional freedoms create a singular landscape. What works elsewhere isn't always the answer here, and importing foreign models rarely leads to greater liberty. Let's pause for a moment and remind ourselves that the founders foresaw evolving technology. The musket of 1791 was the high-tech weapon of its era. Some claim modern firearms invalidate the intent of the amendment, but technological progress has never been grounds for erasing constitutional rights. Otherwise, the First Amendment wouldn't protect speech online, or freedom of religion wouldn't cover new faiths. Another overlooked reality: gun control laws throughout history have too often targeted the vulnerable. In Reconstruction-era South, restrictions were used to disarm freed slaves. In the 20th century, totalitarian regimes disarmed populations before stripping away their rights. It's a harsh lesson. When those in power decide who deserves to be armed, it's rarely about public safety. But maybe the most fundamental reason the Second Amendment is so urgent right now? Uncertainty. The world is changing faster than ever. Political polarization, civil unrest, concerns about surveillance, cyber attacks, and even international threats all feed anxiety and a desire for security. In uncertain times, the right to keep and bear arms stands as a private guarantee in a world full of public instability. Americans cherish freedom, but freedom demands vigilance. Our history proves that rights must be exercised or they wither. The Second Amendment isn't a relic. It's a living statement of citizenship. If you care about personal liberty and a truly free society, supporting the Second Amendment is as relevant in 2024 as it was in 1791. Now, for those who argue that we can trust government to always act in our best interest, I urge you to remember: trust, but verify. The power to defend oneself isn't anti-government. It's pro-liberty. It's about ensuring our leaders remember their accountability to we the people, not the other way around. Let's also recognize the role of education and personal responsibility. The conversation about guns in America must include how to safely handle firearms, store them, and use them only when absolutely necessary. A society where citizens are both empowered and educated is the safest society of all. Here's something few discuss: the mental health crisis. Many tragedies blamed on firearms are rooted in untreated mental illness. We need more focus on providing care, reducing stigma, and intervening before violence occurs. The answer lies in community, compassion, and smart prevention, without penalizing the vast majority of responsible Americans. In truth, every American should consider what kind of society we want to live in. Do we want a nation where only the government and criminals are armed? Or one where free citizens can responsibly protect themselves, their families, and their neighbors? The founders' answer is clear, and in today's world, it's more vital than ever that we preserve their vision. So what can you do? Stay informed. Support organizations that protect your rights. Engage in civil, fact-based conversations. And most important, never take your freedoms for granted. The Second Amendment protects democracy as much as democracy depends on it. As we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Second Amendment's role is more vital now than ever before? Why or why not? And what would America look like if we lost this protection? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. And as always, tell us what other topics you want covered in future videos, whether it's the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, or the biggest issues shaping America today. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to join the conversation. At Factual America, we believe knowledge is power, and our future depends on an informed, vigilant citizenry.